Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to tell you how to create a function and how to call it. Look here, we have this question. Write a function called inch meters that receives double value of length in inch and return its equivalent value in millimeters, where 1 inch is equal to 25.4 millimeter. In the main function, you need to ask the user to enter the length in inches and display the output length in millimeter. Note that the output should be You should display error message if the user entered non-positive value of inches. So let's start writing the function code. So for writing a function code, we need to write first the header. Usually the header, you need to put first the data type of this function. And the data type here of this function, it is the data type of the returned value. So it is the data type of the value that we will display or we will output or we will return from this function. So look here, this function is called inch millimeters. So I want to take as an input the value of inch and return its equivalent millimeters. So we know that a value in millimeters, it can be a double or float. So that's why the data type of this function will be double or float. Now after we write the data type of the function, we need to write the function name. And the function name is already given in the question. Usually you can choose any name which is representing the job of this function. After writing the function name, we need to put between brackets the input that we are going to pass to this function. So actually here we said this function again, we are trying to convert the value of inch into millimeter. So actually here our input is the value of inch. So that's why here I'm going to put its declaration, which is the data type of this one, which is double again or float, and a variable name which is called inch. Now this function, do you see where I'm writing it? I'm writing it totally before the main function. I will show you in the end another way how you can write it. Now, what we want to do here, we want to do the conversion. So just, you can, of course here the conversion can be done using this equation. So if I want to get the variable, the value of millimeters, so just I will create a variable here called milli, and remember in the end the function, the code inside the function, just it's a normal portion of code, you can write anything. So if you know how to create your function, the thing that you are going to write inside it will be just very easy for you. So here just I created this variable. In this variable I want to save the value of the millimeter. So the value of millimeter just equal to the value that I'm passing here as an input, which is the value of inch, times what? Times the conversion factor, which is 25.4. And here in the note, it asks you to display an error message if the user entered non-positive value. So we can take care of this here in the function. So we can assume if the user, he entered a negative value, it means that we are going to save -1 in this variable. So what we can do here is using an if statement. So if milli if the input, which is our inch, less than 0, which means that it's negative, I'm going to save in milliwatt, -1. Else, I'm going to save inside the correct value, which is the multiplication of the value of inches, which is our input, times the conversion factor. Now after we finish now, we need somehow to now pass the output of this function, which is our result or our returned value, which is here milli. So that's why you are going to put here return milli. So this is the code of our function. Now let's go to the main. In the main, what we are going to do, we are going to get the input of the inch from the user. Then we are going to pass that input to the calling of the function inch to millimeters, and finally we will display the values. So to do that, just here I will put cout, please enter value of length in inches, cn. Of course I need here to declare my variable, so double inches, and here I'm putting inches again. Now I get the input, so now I need to do the processing step. So as I told you, in the processing step, I need to pass this input inches to this function in the variable inch, so we can do the processing here. So to do the calling, just you need to write your function name, and you need to use the same name, because if you even mistake in one letter, it means that you will get something wrong, because you know the C++ is case sensitive. And I need to pass the input. So what is the input that I want to convert here, which is the one that I get from my user? So just I will put copy and paste. So when I do a calling like this, it means that this input, it will just, this input, it will be passed to the function which is called inch millimeters. So this one, it will go here, and then the compiler, it will go inside the function and do the processing or execute the code which is here, and finally when it's done, it will return the value of milli. So now this function, after the calling, it's already containing the value of milli. So I can just display it out. But remember, here we said that it could give me -1 or give me a correct value depending on the value that entered here. So, and remember that from the question itself, it told me to display an error message if the user he entered negative value of the inches. So here I'm going to put if statement, and also before that I want to save this output or this result in a variable. Let's say double m stands for millimeter, and now I will check this value of m. If this value of m equals the -1, what I want to display, error message. So that's why here I will put cout error, you should enter positive value. Else, it means that I got the correct value, which is, it means that the user, he entered the positive value for the inch, so I have a corresponding one for the millimeters. So just to display it, cout the result, which is length in millimeters, and I will display the value of m, which already now contains the output or the returned value of my function. And that's it. So now if you run your code, let's assume here I will enter a negative value. So look, give me an error. Okay? Here of course you can put in line just to make your output more readable for the user. Now let's assume I will enter a positive value. I get the value, which is the corresponding one, which is this one times this conversion factor, and that's it. So again, just to do a better tracing for this program, we know that always the compiler will start execution from the main. The user, he entered the value of inches. Then I want to pass this value into the function. So I need to call the function by writing the name of the function and passing the argument to my function. So when the calling is done, the compiler just, it will take this value into the function here. So now the inches entered by the user will come here. So then you are going to declare, the compiler, it will declare a variable called milli. Now it will check the entered value here by the user. If it is less than 0, it will say -1 in milli, otherwise it will do the calculation for the milli, and finally return the value of the milli. When the value will be returned, the compiler, it will back again here. So now this calling, it will contains the value of the milli, that we here in this part, we save it in another variable called m. After I save it now, I need to check if this value for the m of the returned value was -1, it means that the user, he entered from the beginning negative value for the inches, so I will just display an error message. Otherwise, I will display the result of the corresponding length in millimeter for the values of inches that the user entered. I hope that you get the idea. Now I told you that there is another way for writing this function. So look here, the way that I used. I put my function totally before the main. Another thing that we can do, which is a standard way, is to take this function from here and put it totally after the main. But like this, we need to give the compiler a prototype for this function. And this prototype, it will be put here before the main. the prototype usually it's the same like the header of the function. So just I will put copy paste, and remember here the only difference you need to put semicolon. So this one it can work. In some other programs you can see here that sometimes it's enough for us to put the data type of the parameter in the prototype only, not in the function definition, only in the prototype. So this is the other way that you can see in writing the functions. Thank you.